Hey y'all, welcome to the Deep South Podcast, where our family trauma makes you feel better about yours. You're welcome. Last week, two witches, not Illuminati demons, disrespected my trailer worse than Karen talking to a teenager after she waited 6 seconds too long in the drive-thru. Now, I've been told a lot of weird things in my life, but none of that, and I mean none of it, prepared me for what I heard sitting there in Thistle Ashford's cottage, trying not to pass out from the smell of iron-rich blood and the dusty tang of old bone. Thissy ladled her bubbly sludge from the cauldron into a cup. She offered one to me. I looked at her, the cup, then at the deep red sludge bubbling in the cauldron. I'll pass. Big lunch. She just shrugged, poured one for Natalie, and walked over to her chair, passing a steaming mug over to Natalie. She sat down, took a sip and a deep breath.
They weren't supposed to find us,
Thissy said, sighing out all of the air in her lungs. Her voice carried that kind of tired weight you only get from hauling the same stone in your gut for centuries. Not loud, not angry, just worn down. The fire cracked in the hearth, sending the scent of rosemary and scorched wood curling through the air. Shadows from the flames climbed over shelves crowded with jars of cloudy liquid, bundles of dried herbs, and tiny animal skulls strung together like wind chimes.
We picked the most remote spot we could. The moon was right, the veil was thin. It had to be done.
You mean the ceiling? I asked. She nodded once, beads in her hair clicking soft as teeth.
Mary wasn't always like this,
She said, eyes pinned to the firelight.
She was fierce, brilliant, loved harder than anyone I'd ever met. But she saw too much of the world's cruelty, and somewhere, along the way, she stopped believing it could be saved. She wanted to tear it all down, to reset humanity.
Her knuckles tightened around the mug in her hands.
She believed the only way to fix everything was to start from scratch. The people couldn't change, only be replaced. So she began preparing a ritual, ancient, forbidden, born from the oldest Triad knowledge. It would unravel the threads of the world and respin them into something new. Abigail tried to reason with her. I begged her to slow down, but she'd made up her mind.
Thissy's voice dipped, softer now.
She was my sister, not by blood, by soul. We were a coven of three, and more than that, we were balanced. But we couldn't fix the world this way. We had to stop her.
Her gaze flicked to Natalie, eyes glinting in the firelight.
It took everything we had to finish the sealing ritual. Pulling her into that mirror nearly dragged us in too.
She hesitated, shadows shifting across her face.
And just when we thought we were safe,
She looked back into the flames.
the torches came.
Her jaw tightened.
Someone saw the end of the spell, or maybe just saw us. Two collapsed women in a clearing with a cursed mirror at our feet. Didn't matter. They came with ropes and fire.
I leaned forward, half forgetting my legs were asleep. You couldn't both run?
We were too weak, spent, magically and physically. But Abigail, she pushed herself to her feet first, looked at me like she was memorizing my face.
Her voice caught.
You're the one who can make this matter, she told me. When I come back, you'll be the one who teaches me. I told her no, begged her not to make me watch. But she just smiled, soft and sad.
I could almost see it the way she spoke. That cold, creeping light flickering between the trees, smoke curling in low.
I tried to follow, but my legs wouldn't carry me. So I crawled behind a fallen log. The moss damp against my cheek, smoke stung my nose. I could hear the crunch of boots, the murmur of angry voices. They were close.
Her hand tightened around the edge of the fireplace mantel.
I saw them through the branches. Saw them bind her hands and drag her out into the clearing. Saw the rope, the tree where they hanged the ones they called witches. She never fought, never screamed. The whole time they demanded to know where I had gone.
Thissy swallowed hard.
And then she said it. Clear enough for every ear in the clearing. This isn't goodbye.
Her eyes met mine.
To the townsfolk, it was a threat. To me, it was a promise to return. And then someone kicked the chair. The creak of rope cut through the night like a knife through cloth.
Silence. The fire crackled. Somewhere in the rafters, a bone charm tapped once, like the echo of that rope's last creak. And none of us said a word. Grits and Gravy were huddled together on the windowsill, holding each other like they just watched the saddest possum opera of all time. Gravy was sobbing so hard he started hiccuping. Grits handed him a little embroidered handkerchief that said hex responsibly. Natalie finally spoke.
I've seen glimpses of her in dreams, but hearing it like that?
Her voice cracked just a little.
I don't remember being Abigail. Not really. But I feel her. Like her grief is stuck in my bones. like I'm walking around with somebody else's unfinished goodbye.
Thissy stepped closer but didn't touch her.
You're not her, but you're all of her. And more.
Natalie didn't answer, just looked away, blinking hard. I figured I should probably say something inspirational, or supportive, or at least semi-coherent. Instead, I cleared my throat and said, "This feels kind of like the time I accidentally fed my cousin's emotional support ferret a ghost pepper, and then tried to apologize with an expired coupon for Applebee's, except, way worse." Thissy blinked slowly, like she was reconsidering whether or not they should have stopped Mary after all.
You're lucky the ferret didn't hex you.
I stood up and brushed some dust off my pants, trying to give Natalie a second to collect herself. Grits and Gravy were still clinging to each other like somebody just spoiled the end of Steel Magnolias. So, now that I've emotionally short-circuited and nobody's said that I'm adopted or secretly magic, which honestly feels like a missed opportunity, what happens next? Thissy didn't answer. She turned toward Natalie, eyes narrowing.
Do you feel that?
No reflection,
Natalie said, her voice sharp. That's when I noticed the mirror hanging above Thissy's mantel. My reflection was gone. Just the room, just the fire. A shimmer rolled across the glass of a tall cabinet in the corner, the one stuffed with jars of herbs and things I didn't want to identify. Raccoon Jr. stepped through the glass like she'd been standing there all along, coat catching the firelight, cosmic mask black as the void, and swirling with stars that shifted when she moved. Natalie didn't hesitate. Her mask flared pale green and green light burst from her palm. She hurled it hard, the beam arcing into a ghostly crescent shape as it cut through the air toward Raccoon Jr. She dodged left, narrowly avoiding being cut in half by the astral crescent. Thissy's bone mask dripped its slow red runes as she pulled out her bone knife, drawing it across her palm. She squeezed her hands so that the droplets fell, but they never hit the ground. They formed perfect crimson spheres that gathered around her neck like a rosary. She passed her hand over the beads, drawing one away from the rosary. Then she flung her arm hard, the bead elongating and forming into a knife as it flew through the air, slamming into the cabinet where Raccoon Jr.'s head had just been milliseconds before, disintegrating into mist once it had done its damage. The air smelled sharp, like metal left out in the rain, and every pulse of Natalie's magic painted the room in ghostly green before the shadows slammed back into place. Raccoon Jr. didn't flinch. She didn't speak. She just moved, always smooth, always exact, ducking under a knife, so close it caught the hem of her coat, swaying out of a beam of light without even breaking stride.
Cut her off,
Natalie barked, pivoting to block the doorway. Thissy hurled another blood knife, this one so fast I swear I heard it whistle past Raccoon Jr.'s ear. The sound of light split in air, the smell of cedar smoke from the mantel, the quick thunk of knives hitting wood, all of it mixed into a blur as Mary weaved between them. I'll be honest, it was impressive. I was 1 second from jumping in, and that's when I glanced at the mantel mirror again. My reflection was back. Only it wasn't just me. She was behind me, Raccoon Jr., her cosmic mask shimmering like the night sky had been condensed down into a triangle that she wore over her eyes. In her hands, she held a little figure cut from stiff white paper. It was shaped like a person. Her breath grazed my neck, cold enough to bite. "Raccoon Jr.," I yelped.
Mary,
She said, smooth and amused.
you talk too much.
She bent the paper figure sharply backward, and my spine obeyed. My shoulders snapped toward the backs of my knees with a sound I'll never unhear. No pain, just the horrifying knowledge that my body wasn't mine anymore. The next fold crushed my arms into my ribs until my elbows dug into my stomach. My vision swam, green light from the fight smearing across my eyes. She creased the doll again, folding me forward, pressing my face into my own chest. My jaw was locked between the bends of my torso, trapping the scream clawing its way up through my throat. Another fold, my legs twisted around themselves like rope, my knees knocking against my ears. I could still see the fight in the mirror, just flashes between my own limbs. By the last fold, I was barely more than a paper-thin shape in my own skin. The edges of the room blurred, caving inward. The last thing I heard was the whisper of paper sliding into her palm. And then, nothing. Today's letters are delivered by Grits and Gravy, who came wobbling in through the open door, wearing little cloaks made out of black velvet scraps with dollar store glitter stars glued on them. I guess they thought it was witchy delivery theme this week. Grits had a stack of envelopes in his teeth, and Gravy was dragging a bag that said Spell Mail in sparkly puff paint.
Redneck Mailtime. It's time for Redneck Mailtime. Yee-haw, Redneck Mailtime.
Letter number 1 comes from Jimmy in Alabama. "Pa, have you ever been hexed, and how do you know if you are?" Well, Jimmy, as far as I can tell, you only find out you've been hexed one of two ways. Either you wake up with your barn upside down and all the chickens squeaking fluent German, Or somebody with suspiciously long nails smiles at you and says, "Hope you enjoy the next 7 years." I've been hexed a few times, mostly over poker games, and one very unfortunate raffle at the county fair. Best way to tell? Look for patterns. If every time you open your fridge something slaps you in the face, milk carton, jar of pickles, raccoon you accidentally raised as a son, you're probably cursed. Best advice, find a local witch, bribe them with cornbread, and ask real nice. Letter number 2 comes from Diane in Kentucky. Is it true that burying a mirror in your yard can keep the spirits out? Diane, yes and no. A buried mirror can confuse the spirit, but it can also confuse your mailman, your dog, and one time, in my case, the county assessor. The trick is to bury it face up about a foot down so any ghost coming toward your house sees their own reflection first and decides to spook off. Trouble is, you might also end up attracting ghosts that are real into looking at themselves. I once had a specter in a leather jacket haunt my yard for 3 weeks, just leaning against a maple tree and staring into the ground like he was in a shampoo commercial. Letter number 3 comes from Randy in Texas. "Pa, how do you know the difference between a witch and just a mean old lady?" Well, Randy, that's a good question. Easiest way to tell, watch your cat. A witch's cat will always stare at you like it knows exactly how you're gonna die. A mean old lady's cat will stare at you like it hopes it happens sooner. Also, witches have this certain way of stirring tea. Counterclockwise if they don't like you, clockwise if they do. Mean old ladies, they don't care. They'll stir in figure eights while telling you you're dressed wrong for the weather. Letter number 4 comes from Charlotte in Tennessee. Ever seen somebody turn into an animal, or is it just a movie thing? Charlotte, I've seen a man turn into a goat, but to be fair, it was Mardi Gras, and he may have just been a goat all along. Shape-shifting is real, but rare, and the folks who can do it usually don't waste it on something practical. Like, nobody's out here turning into a falcon to deliver mail faster. They're turning into a possum so that they can sneak into the back of the Piggly Wiggly and eat all the bruised peaches without paying. Letter number 5 comes from Everett in West Virginia. He says, "What's your policy on letting witches crash at your place?" Everett, I've done it a few times. Main rule, never ever touch their stuff. Doesn't matter if it's a rusty spoon in the sink or a shoebox under the couch. It is enchanted. Second rule, if they say don't go to that room, then don't go in that room. I learned the hard way when a house ghost had a pocket portal to another dimension in my linen closet. Took me 2 weeks to get my towels back, and they smelled like swamp gas and moonlight. You've been listening to the Deep South Podcast. I'm your host, Possum Paul McGraw Jr., and I hope y'all enjoy this little trip through history, magic, and, well, me getting kidnapped by a paper-folding witch. Remember, if someone dodges every single attack you throw at them without breaking a sweat, start checking your mirrors. Never trust a folded piece of paper that looks like you, and if you ever hear rustling in your yard at night, sometimes it's better to let it be rustling. Go show some love to our amazing voice actors. Links to their socials will be in the description. And all of them have something that you're gonna love. Y'all be safe out there and stay weird. We'll see y'all next week.